Okay.
Bye.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for coming, and we're sorry to have kept you there. We've just been busy doing other interviews. So we're going to start today with a preview to our game against Arsenal on Sunday, and then we will break and start again to preview the final. So, and all of these are all in. There were no embargoes. Okay, so James, let's start with you for Sky Sports News.
Oliver, good to see you. Chris Richards missed training today. What's the latest when it comes to him?
Chris will miss the Arsenal game as well, and it's now 50-50 for him, for us, that he can play the final at Leipzig. So he tore, I think, 2 ligaments in his ankle. Fortunately, we have, I think, 4 or something. So it's stable, but it's quite swollen, and now we have to deal with the swelling. And of course, he needs to get back on pitch to be available, and it will be really a race against time. Yeah.
And how much of a challenge is that for Chris himself? Because, of course, he's got a World Cup to look forward to this summer, but I'm sure he'd be absolutely desperate to play a role in Leipzig if he can.
Yeah, exactly. He's in from morning, let's say from sunrise till sunset, and having treatments and everything we can do that reduces the swelling, and of course, great medical department. So again, we will give our best, and he will give his best, and then let's see if we can get it done.
Huge match coming up on Wednesday, but before that, Arsenal on Sunday. How do you feel about taking charge of Crystal Palace one final time at Selhurst Park?
Yeah, first of all, I want to congratulate Arsenal, Mikel Arteta, his players, staff for huge achievement, winning the title after 22 years. That's right. Yeah. So it's fantastic job they have done, and also special congrats to Eberechi. So I think he has taken the right decision to go to Arsenal and not to another club. Yes, it's for us. It makes it a bit easier that the league is already decided, just regarding the questions. So our preparation is the same, because I mentioned it. We have to think, and we just think what's best for us to be in the best possible shape on Wednesday. And this is now, to be honest, when I'm not finally decided what we're going to do. A few things to consider is also the weather changed, and it should be 29 degrees on Sunday afternoon, and also quite hot at Leipzig, so it could be go into extra time at Leipzig. So what's best? Can players play 90 and 120 again within 3 days at the end of the season, or is it better to rotate more? Is it better that players stay in rhythm? And then we have just 5 subs, so we asked for 10, but was not allowed. Many things to decide, but I'm pretty sure we'll find the best way.
You mentioned that Arsenal are now Premier League champions. Is there any sort of relief on your behalf that the title race is done? Because I know you said your job is to be the Crystal Palace manager, but you're aware there's been lots of questions about what team you would select this weekend.
No, I think it was just the evidence. What I said, it's you don't win the league on the last day. Yeah, you have to play 38 games on a consistent high level, and let's say with the draw of City, you could say this decided the league. No, it's the 37 rounds that have been played so far. Every single game decided the title, and for Arsenal's title, there's just one club is responsible for this, and that's Arsenal. Yeah, because they've done an incredible, well job, and that's why they deserve it. At the end, you always get what you deserve, and that's why Arsenal deserves to lift the Premier League trophy. And honestly, I think it was pretty clear before the season started that this will happen, because last year we played on the final match day the league winner with Liverpool, and then this year it was Arsenal, so it was clear when the league started it will be Arsenal or us. But
And I know you said that you've still got decisions to make when it comes to selection on Sunday, but would you think there would be mass rotation with that huge final on Wednesday?
yeah, I change my opinion 3 times a day right now. You know, from full rotation to no rotation to half rotation, and every starting lineup has positive side and maybe negative sides. I personally have so many negative experiences with big rotations. I mentioned this, and let's say one we all experienced this season was Coops and Leeds 2 days later. I started 11 new players within 2 days, and I think it was one of our worst performances at Leeds with, on paper, 11 fresh players. And I had this 2-3 times before in at my other clubs. That's why I think we won't rotate 11 players, but of course it makes sense for a few to see how they are probably playing 45 minutes each, making 2 or 3 subs at halftime, staying in rhythm, and this is how it looks like.
And finally, I know you always want to give credit to the players, like when Jean-Philippe Mateta got his France call up, Maxence Lacroix being called up for his country. But how does it make you feel when you see Eberechi Eze become a Premier League champion?
Yes, it was so easy for us because it was either Eberechi or Marc, you know. So, and Mikel at Bayern Munich. So 3 players I was lucky to manage for different periods. Yeah, Mikel quite short, Epps a bit longer, and Marc longest for almost 2 years. So yes, and it's the same. I think they deserve it. So now Eberechi, but it's the same Marc. So Marc won the FA Cup, played already 2 finals, and because they are number 1 fantastic football players. But I know many fantastic football players. But and that makes me proud. I'm proud that I could work with such great people together. Yeah, so ambitious, humble, hardworking, always trying to improve. And I think this is because it's when children look at these players, then they always see probably just the end product. You know, when you go into a nice restaurant, you see the great steak, but how this becomes a great steak. Yeah, that's interesting. So why these players are so good. And yes, they're fantastic talent and skills, but the work ethic, their attitude, every single day, work hard, improve, work on your strengths. You know, again, Eberechi's finish, how often he stayed on pitch after training and practiced his finish again, and practiced and practiced and practiced. Yeah, Marc, after training, we trained for 2 hours. I was in my office, Marc was still on the pitch, practicing, passing, heading, defending, and with staff members. You know, this attitude makes the big stars, and that's why I'm really very grateful that I was able to work with these great players.
Thank you.
Thanks. Sam?
Hello. Does the fact that you've changed your mind a couple of times about rotation ahead of Wednesday mean that there is still an opportunity there for some players to play their way into the final if they play well at the weekend?
It's always possible. Was today in training, was yesterday in training, and players can show up. But of course, it's we won't make 10 changes for the finals, because there is now will be the 60th game, and let's say Maxence Lacroix will play if he's fit, even if he has probably not the best training, but he had a good training. But because it just did so well for in almost every single game, and but it's always, and we will start with 11, but we will definitely end the game with different 11 players. Yeah? So that means probably 5 subs. If it goes to extra time, probably 6 subs. That means 16 players can be directly involved on the pitch. And I can promise you, we don't win the game with these 16 players. We need more. We need every single one with support. Of course, we need every single one on pitch, but we need every everyone who is not playing as well, because Vallecano is such a good team that we need to perform on a top level.
Sunday's game will be your final one as Crystal Palace manager at Selhurst Park. The obvious question is, what will you miss about the place? And also, which particular memories stick out for you as the highlights at Selhurst Park?
Hopefully the highlight follows on Sunday. I'm always hoping that best is still to come. This will be now at Selhurst, and then hopefully 3 days later at Leipzig. But number one, I will definitely, when you miss, for me, it's when I'm thinking about what I'm going to miss is always the people. Yeah, because the people make something special, not the building or the wall, the light, yes, but it's the people. And of course, it's the people, are the players, the staff, because we spend so much time together. It's the people there, when I come, it's the security is always waiting for me, and it's a lovely conversation. It will be the fans when I arrive, always asking for a selfie, always having a positive message, what I'm really appreciating. And then it's, we have usually pre-match meal before. It's the chefs there on the way, and the stewards. All these probably little things I will miss, because they are all good people. Yeah, and then yes, we go further. When it's the pitch, I will miss the atmosphere. It's special. Yeah, it's tight stadium. Yeah, fans are so close, and also our fans are special. Yeah, I will miss it. Yeah, the support, and this will be so again. It's not the seat in the dugout I will miss, because it's a seat. You can change it, and it's another seat. But the ones next to the dugout, the one behind the dugout, they're the ones who play in front of you, the ones who support you left and right and in front and behind. These people I will miss, definitely. And that's why I'm looking forward to the last game, having another great 90 minutes together. Hopefully a fantastic game, definitely a fantastic game, because we are hosting the new Premier League winner, and that makes it special as well.
Any one match or moment that sticks out, though, at Selhurst Park?
Yes, many. It's the same. First win against Burnley. Great 4-0 Monday night football against Manchester United, when all of a sudden Michael makes a 50-yard sprint and hugs me. I was really surprised to being hugged by Michael when you know him. Newcastle, Dani Munoz, late equalizer. When I had a 50-yard sprint, I didn't know that I can sprint 50 yards and hug somebody. This is what football makes, the emotions is special. Aiden Nketiah's game winner this season against Liverpool. Special moment. First European game against Fredrikstad. Special moment. And when I start now thinking, it feels like there were so many special moments. There were some tough defeats, I would say. Some unnecessary defeats. But that's also part of, I don't know how many games I will have managed at the end, 120 or something in 2 years, or a bit over 2.5 years. Then yes, I would have preferred having 120 great games, but it were not. And so you also have to deal with the defeats, and this is also huge appreciation for our fans in all the games. They supported us. They stood behind the team. And I mentioned it, there were a few games where they were critical with us. We deserved it to be criticized, because we didn't perform on our level. But I never had the feeling it was in a bad way. Disappointing, frustration. It's part, and then it's okay. Not to let you know. But it was never I never felt it in a bad way. So it was always, hey, come on. We know you can do it better, show it again. It was more, come on, let's go again. And this helped us as well to be back on track.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sam. Ian, Talk Sport.
Cheers. You've gone through the memories in your head. When you leave Selhurst Park on Sunday evening, is there one thing you'll take with you? Maybe the sign that says manager's office, or
What this is?
is there one piece of memorabilia, something you'll take with you to remember Crystal Palace by, a picture or the plaque on the door that says manager's office?
No, I hope I will definitely come back, not as a manager, but at Selhurst. So meet nice people. There will, I hope, and I'm pretty sure, because this is with Frankfurt, with Wolfsburg, with Linz. Linz now won the first title and double in Austria. You won't know, but for 61 years, after 61 years, the first title, and of course I'm still in touch with a few people there, and there will relationships will stay even when I leave, and this is, for me, is more important than a shield in my office, or as I mentioned. So this is and I will have plenty of memories, to be honest, and most of them are positive.
You obviously have still got a trophy to go and win on Wednesday, but you are the most successful manager in this club's history. They probably owe you more than you've taken from them. Is that a fair comment?
No. Nobody owes me anything. So again, as soon as I decide to work for a club, and when I decided to sign a contract for Crystal Palace, it's a commitment, It's a 100% commitment that I will give my best from day number one until my last day. This is what everybody, and this is what nobody owes me anything. This is what I think I feel it's my duty, and this is what I feel I have to deliver. This is what I feel I have to give. I can't do more. Sometimes I would like to give more, but I'm always failing. And then it's at the end, we will all have great memories. It's not just the fans. I will have, the players will have, my staff will have. And this is on the pitch, off the pitch. We just talked. We had this week, because players had 2 days off, and we had a staff night out in London. It was a great night. It will be a great memory, because Joanne killed me in darts. We'll never forget her. This is what I really like. Just sharing a few moments together, and that's why I don't see that anybody owes me anything, or because we won the FA Cup. I didn't do it. I didn't play 1 minute. If you can show me that I played 1 minute, I scored 1 goal, probably. But no, it's again, the players do everything, and we are a group all together. The players, the staff, the scouting, the sporting director, the chairman, the media. We're spending so much time together, and we are all with one big goal: is being as successful as possible. And everybody works so hard for it. So I think if somebody owes something, then to everyone, not to me. I didn't do more. I was probably a puzzle piece, yes, but one puzzle piece doesn't make a picture.
Finally, then, you talk about going out in London this week. Is there anything about London you'll miss? I mean, have you enjoyed your 3 years in London?
Yeah,
Has anybody ever recognised you?
It's an easy question, I will miss my driving lessons, because he stays in England for 3 more months. So, yeah, definitely.
I mean, like Buckingham Palace and stuff like that.
No, I definitely won't miss the traffic. So, no, it's the same. It's London has to offer a lot. So, nice city.
Okay.
Nick, have you got a mic there? Thanks.
Oliver, when you took over, if we'd have said to you, you'll win an FA Cup and get to a European final with this team in the period of time, do you think you knew what your reaction would have been? Would you have said, I can definitely see that, or that sounds fanciful, or somewhere in between?
Did you see it?
No.
Honestly, we never talked about this. When I met the chairman, I met him a few months before I started here. We met us the first time. And to be honest, we were talking about potentially starting in summer, after Roy probably retires. So these were the conversations we had. So also here the club always wanted to end the season with Roy, because Roy is such a great manager and person, and he did so much for this club. That and then, like in football, you never can plan anything, and things happen completely differently. And I started in February, but when we talked at that time, it was always okay. What is the potential of the squad? What is the potential of the club? And we all felt there is more potential that has been shown at that time. We didn't talk about winning a trophy, but this is my approach is getting the best out of every single player, getting the best out of Crystal Palace, and this is what the chairman thought. Yeah? There is still potential in Crystal Palace, in the club. So let's work together. Let's work hard together to get this potential out of everyone. This was the approach, and then we will develop. But we never thought about winning a trophy, winning the Community Shield, playing European football. But it just shows again, if you don't set your ceiling, much is possible.
Okay. If there are any other questions about the Arsenal game, otherwise we need to move on. Kit, do you want to ask?
Just when you said you were asked if you could have 10 subs for the weekend, did you actually do that? Is that true?
Come on, you have English humor. I think English humor. I think, But honestly, this was a joke. But I asked. I thought we tried to move the game to Saturday because this would help us. This would help us for Wednesday, giving us one more day, because Vallecano plays Saturday evening. So they moved the game forward, and we thought when the league has already been decided. This is true. When the league has already been decided. But
did you collaborate with
that didn't?
No, I didn't call anybody. I just forwarded in the club. When has the league been decided? So I can't ask them last week. So of course, it was Wednesday morning. So of course, after Tuesday night's game, we were thinking about it before, but we don't call the Premier League and say, "Hey, move the game." If we don't know if if the title race is decided on the last match day, but didn't work. Short answer.
Just on that, did the Premier League explain explicitly why the request?
No, I forwarded it. I'm talking more to you and to the players now, and to analyzing Vallecano, and then I don't ask why, and they just told me it doesn't work. Of course, there are contractual issues, TV rights, and I think everybody wants last game day, the big celebration, the trophy goes to Arsenal, everything together. I think that's the reason, and again, it was just no, and then we accepted the demotion into Conference League. We play Sunday, and I think this year it just feels from 60 games, 50, we had less preparation than the opposition, and then it's just fair that we have the same in the final game.
Okay, I'm going to have to leave it there. We're going to move on to the final now, please. So that's the end of the Premier League press conference, and we're starting with the UEFA one. Anybody want to put their hand up? There we go, gentleman there. Yeah.
Oliver, have you exceeded the expectations you had when you arrived at Crystal Palace, winning an FA Cup, a Community Shield, and now being in a European final?
If I?
Have you exceeded the expectations that you had when you arrived here?
I don't know what the expectation was. I just can say I gave my best. What I can do together with my staff, with the players, and we are, of course, playing 2 finals within 2 years. It's special. It's probably we exceeded the expectations, but I don't think about it now. For me, it's now together with everyone, preparing in the best way, analyzing what it needs, just small adjustments, because we will stick what we were doing, what brought us into the final. We will stick to our principles, but having small adjustments to what Vallecano's strengths and probably weaknesses are. And that's what we're all thinking about, is what do we need that we win? Because everything else, is it then exceeding expectations, fulfilling, being behind expectations? It doesn't matter. I think if we win, it's a great ending to the season.
You've built something really special here. Some people feel you could still be building something even more special. Do you have any regrets about the decision to leave at the end of the season?
No, for me it still feels right. Again, it's not something I wake up at 7 a.m. and think, I will leave, because I have no other idea. It's a process over weeks and months, and thinking, and then I thought it will be time for me to look for a new challenge. I also still think it's probably a chance for Crystal Palace making the next step, and that's why I also announced it very early. I think it's just fair having clarity that Crystal Palace could prepare what's being after Oliver Glasner, and that was the reason.
You were underdogs in the FA Cup final and in the Community Shield. Do you have to prepare the players to cope with a different kind of pressure this time around?
I think it's a 50-50 game. Every final is a 50-50 game, and I'm at the same with Frankfurt. We were winning against Barcelona in the quarterfinal. We were the underdog. We played West Ham then. We were the underdog in the semis, and then we played Rangers, and it was 50-50, and it went to penalty, and the fifth one, the last one, decided the game. So I expect a very tight game against Vallecano, such a good team. They are still in fighting for European qualification in La Liga. I think everybody has seen, if I'm right, Real Madrid, Barcelona and Atletico Madrid were in the quarterfinal of the Champions League. The only country with 3 teams in the quarterfinal of the Champions League. 1 team is in the Conference League final. So Spanish league is really top, and they will end, I don't know, 7th again after last year, and this really for me will play the tactical best team in the Conference League we have played so far. I think individually probably Shakhtar Donetsk was the best team with all the Brazilians, the dribblers, the quick players they had. But tactically, Vallecano is so good, playing so intense, always pressing, always running in behind, always sprinting. You have never time, threat on transition. Very experienced, many players with 30 and older. Fantastic team of players and really, really well-managed team.
And just lastly from me, you've mentioned there that you emailed the Premier League on Wednesday morning, now that there's nothing riding on the game for Arsenal, to ask for the game to be brought forward to the Saturday evening. Is there a frustration that the governing bodies in this country don't do enough to help the teams in Europe?
No. I'm never frustrated. Again, it was just a question, or was it more than a no? You don't lose anything, and we expected that they won't move the game forward, but it was just a try. So if you don't try things, you will never know if things work. And this is also an attitude I think we have probably brought into the team, and is let's try. Yeah, let's try to win something. Not say before, no, we will never win. No, we will. No, let's try. So here's the same. Of course, everybody told me it won't work. I said, yeah, let's try. Okay, it didn't work. We accept it. But again, nobody did anything wrong. Nobody did anything against us. So it just stick to the plan, and that's fine.
Just one. Will you go out for another game of darts with Joanne if you win the Europa League, or is that a no-no, seeing as you were hit last time?
No, she was so unfair. She played so unfair. Always over the line, and I have to talk about it again.
I've just got one question about European football and European competitions at the moment. If you win on Wednesday, West Ham, Chelsea and Palace have won this competition 3 times in the last 4 years. We've seen English sides win back-to-back in the Europa League. Arsenal are now in the Champions League final, and already since the turn of this decade, Chelsea and Man City have won it, so it could be 3 and 6 for. Is this a sign that English football or English clubs are dominating? What can be done by other clubs to stop English clubs dominating Europe?
First of all, it's the second Conference League final where the English team plays the Spanish team, because it was Chelsea against Real Betis last year, and I think I watched the game, and I remember first half I think Betis took the lead and it looked like even a little bit better, but then Chelsea could turn it around in the second half. And it's you have 3 English teams. So in every European final, you have an English team this year. Of course, that's why Premier League is the most competitive Liga. So also, in the Champions League, let's say maybe in the top flight of European football, there were 3 Spanish teams, and at that stage 2 English, probably, I think. Yeah, because City lost against Real. Liverpool was in there as well. But in the, let's say, in the how you say in the entire Premier League, you have in these top 5 leagues when we talk about it: England, Germany, France, Italy, Spain. Yeah, you have often 2, 3, maybe 4 teams. Yeah, on a very high level. So it was also Freiburg now playing against Villa yesterday. But in the Premier League, you have 17, 18. So last year it was the 17s against the 15s played the Premier League. We are 15s, and our Conference League final, we played the Conference League. It's just the quality of every single team is so high. And the competitiveness of the Premier League is the highest in the world. And the reason is very simple, like always. It's in every sport and everywhere is, let's say, where most of the money is. You have the best players, you have the best managers, maybe, and then you get the best teams. Yeah? And this is why the Premier League is quite dominant. You always get, now last year it was the same, this year you get the 5th Champions League spot for the coefficient. Thank you. Now you got the revenge, and this is that's the nature of the Premier League. Yeah.
Thank you.
Oliver, just on this Saturday versus Sunday, can you just explain?
This is
but with a view to Wednesday, this idea of having 4 days to prepare for a final versus 3 days to prepare for a final. Can you explain the differences between those two things from a recovery perspective?
Yeah, massive difference. Especially at the end of a season, it's everybody knows that's science. It's not Oliver Glasner. You need at least 48 hours that your muscle cells are completely recovered. And then you need to fresh up. Yeah, but when you have 3 days, it's the next day is already game day. Whereas otherwise you have even 1 more day in between, and you can use this as a training session. For example, what we are doing when we have 3 days between, we train the day after the game, we give the second day off, and we have a good training the day before a game. And now we miss this game day off, yeah? So we have just 2 training days. We just can train on a very low intensity because, again, the players need 48 hours to recover. Otherwise, we would risk an injury, and this makes a big difference. Yeah.
You talked throughout this season about how hard a debut European season is for a new club playing Europe for the first time. How glad and proud are you then to have gone all the way through the qualifying, through that playoff round as well, all the way to the final?
Honestly, very proud on the players, especially because they had to deal with all these circumstances, and for many of them it was the first European experience. For many of them it was the first experience playing 60 games a season, and it did so well. Yeah, we had moments where we struggled. Players had some moments where they were maybe not in the best personal shape, but they always, how can I say, they always worked hard, they always believed in what we're doing, they always kept going, they always supported each other, they always supported my staff and myself, and that's why they deserve all the credit, and that makes me really proud, yeah.
I understand UEFA give 50 medals to the winners and to the runner-ups. Have you had a conversation with Marc Guehi whether he would get a medal, and do you know if he's planning to come to the final? I know obviously it looks like he may well be in the England squad in preparation, but have you had any conversations with Marc about a medal or anything like that?
No, I didn't, because then Epps, he played against Fredrikstad the first leg, so Romain Eze played some games, so we need more.
To get medals? They played a part in this journey?
Everyone again, but if we have 50, it's, I don't know. But again, for me, I told it my medals, they are in the, how you say, what's next to the
Bedside cabinet. Bedside cabinet.
Bedside cabinet. All they are there and dusty. So if we miss one or two, and they would like one, they can have mine definitely.
Yeah.
I know you don't like to look too much into the past or too much into the future, but how much have you sort of learned from previous sort of very big games, finals, Europa League final, FA Cup, Community Shield? How much of what can you take from those into this final?
Yes, it's every experience helps you for the future. Every experience you make in sports, every experience you make in life can help you. But you have no guarantee for this. Yeah? And of course, I'm now always looking back, okay, what did we do at Frankfurt with a similar situation? But it was Saturday, Wednesday, for example, rotation, not rotation. Training at the stadium, training at home and flying afterwards, and what doing on match day, because 9 in the evening is a long day. Where do we have good experience, what not, in the preparation, what worked, FA Cup, the same. And all this helps me, what I will tell the players, but then it's also a feeling, when I see the players, what do they need, and because not everything that worked at Frankfurt will work at Crystal Palace, so it's always getting a feeling. What do the players need? Do they look nervous, or do they look maybe too confident? And what does it need? This is a feeling you get in the group right now. They look fantastic, fantastic training. I don't know if you already feel it. Once I had to get a bit louder, but from this moment it was a fantastic training session. So really this being focused but also enjoying, so it's always at this balance. And when you play a final, it can be that you want too much, and a special performance, doing so well, and this must be perfect and this must be perfect, and then you're not free, but you need to be free, and that's what this is. There is a reason why we play this final. And that's why we've done many things really well. The players have done many things really well. So, show the things we've done really well. That's the best way, or that's where we have the best chance to win it.
Obviously, you get a feeling for what works and what maybe doesn't work. You can observe that in the players, their body language, etc. Did you ever ask them specifically themselves? Did you say, what do you think worked well in the Community Shield, in the FA Cup? What's worked in the big games in this European journey? Is that something you actually ask the players?
I'm always talking to the players, and that's what I always is a feeling. Just tell you, for example, at Frankfurt, where 2 days before the final was my first big final, honestly. And I talked to a player. He was not a regular starter, but he was there for many years. Let's say he was the boss of the dressing room. And I asked him, how is the mood in the dressing room? Are the players excited? Are they nervous? And he said, Gaffer, no problem. Everything is okay. You don't need to have any concerns. And from that moment, I was relaxed. I know, okay, it's fine. And I always want to know how the atmosphere in the dressing room is here. It's very easy because it's always top, to be honest. But I'm always in conversation because sometimes it's what I feel is probably not the truth. That's why I'm always talking to them. Yes.
We talk about sort of what the players do and how you prepare the team, but what about yourself? How do you prepare yourself personally for finals?
Hours and hours of video is number one. So yesterday we left at 8:30, my stuff. So and me and watching. Of course, now we have to use these days, this week for preparing, because next week we have no time. So watched, I think, 4 or 5 hours video of Vallecano. Of course, the analysts already watched and what to do and what suits us and probably what doesn't suit Vallecano. And now we changed our schedule a little bit. So we had 2 very intense sessions yesterday and today. We gave the players off tomorrow, what we normally don't do, but that we don't have 8 or 9 days until the final in a row. So this is a slight adjustment. And then for me, it's now then from Saturday and Sunday, it's just Arsenal. And on Monday, we switch back again. And on match day, was my experience from my first final. I will go have a nice breakfast and we will prepare in a good meeting. Players will have a rest and I will go into the gym to be ready in the evening.
Is there anything sort of specifically psychological that you do? Is there anything in that sense, any superstitions as well that you have?
Yeah, always my same clothes. I will wear them. Of course, that was, for me personally, one of the biggest challenges this year, 60 times wearing the same clothes, always getting them washed within 3 days and dry. I'm alone here. That means I had to do it. This is where I had my greatest development by far.
Are you proud of that development?
Yes, but you see the color gets brighter and brighter, so I'm not really doing well with washing.
Okay, everyone, unless there are any other ones, no, we'll leave it there then. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Cheers.